So it's hot out, I'm tired, but I will do my best today, okay? So I'm gonna start off with the good in my life now, and then I'll take you back, okay? So I'm a nurse. I have a 7-year-old daughter that I love more than anything in this entire universe. Best part of my entire life, I can say by far right now. I have so many things, I can't even get into it, but I have a peer center that is struggling. We're getting there. It may take years before we get where we need to be, but that was a dream that I've had for a while that I cannot afford. I don't even know what I'm doing, but I'm doing it, okay? So these are things that are the good that have come out of my life, and I'm starting here so you can see where I came from at one point, okay? I got halfway through RN school. I did take a year off, and I'm letting you know that before you jump on me, because no, I have not finished, and God knows when I will, but we'll get to that later on. I am an LPN, and I work in an old folks home, and I don't work in a hospital because that's a little too fast-paced for me, but that's okay. I have spoken across the country at many different events. Some I loved, some were okay, but overall I got to meet amazing people that I really needed to meet, that were a part of this experiment of my life that has changed who I am and given me these different visions of hope from different people. Because we all have a different story, but we all share the same feelings, the same things that make us want to act in a certain way. We've all been to low points in our lives. Addiction was a part of my life that took down my life. And it took me down faster than anything else did. But when I got past the point of living in my own sickness and feeling sorry for myself and hating my life and blaming everyone around me before I actually blamed myself and took responsibility, I started to move forward with that with people that were some from the fellowship, some from my schooling programs, some from drug court, some from counseling programs. I have met so many amazing individuals that have contributed to my recovery that I can't just give all the credit to one place, but the thing is I did the work. Had I not done the work, I would not be here. Have I always done an immense amount of work? Absolutely not. Were there times where I was so tired, I didn't know if I was gonna make it another day, and I was going to school 5 days a week with 1 year clean, dating a guy who was not very nice to me, who I met in rehab, while trying to take care of my daughter, trying to be a mother, which I had no clue what that was when I was a year clean, trying to take care of people when I couldn't take care of myself, trying to help my community when of course I can't do that either because I still didn't know how to take care of myself. So is it hard? Absolutely. But if you do the right things, you will get in the right place. And this is what I tell people. We fight who we're meant to be. That's what gets us in addiction. Sometimes that addiction is what brings us to be who we're meant to be. But if we continue fighting it when we've been offered help, we've been offered these amazing people that have come into our lives and offered us a way out, but we're so scared of the failure. We're so scared of the drop. We're like, okay, well, if I make it, I don't want to fall that far. I'd rather fall from down here than fall from up here. And that's the problem with a lot of people. They see it like that instead of seeing, I'm here, but I can get way up here just like anybody else can with the right work and the right effort. So we'll go back 6 years ago. I was trafficked through the rehab industry in Florida. I was basically shuffled around, drugged, raped, left for dead. I originally went down there after being a heroin addict that was also a CNA. I worked quite a lot of shifts. I knew I had an issue. I knew I'd been using opiates for quite a few years. And I was 19 years old, ready to change my life, but it wasn't because I sincerely wanted to. It was more or less because my job told me they knew I had a problem, and that was all I had left in my life was my job. Because I was not a mother, I was not a good partner, I was not the best daughter at that time. No, was I super different? No, but was I using? Yes, and did I feel like I was not the person I was meant to be? Absolutely. I was fighting that person that I was supposed to be. And I kept fighting it and using the excuses to keep going. So I take this trip to Florida after calling a hotline, And I end up shuffled around between 24 different facilities. Hi, guy in the lawnmower. So I go through about, we'll say like 20 to 24 facilities. I can't tell you the exact details because I know it was a lot. And, basically I was paid to relapse. I was handed drugs if I wasn't handed money. People would say they would work with a facility and try to drag me out of one to get me in another because they knew I didn't understand the rehab industry down there. This is not the entire rehab industry. We're gonna start there. There is a lot of great rehab programs out there. This only accounts for the bad apples that don't account for the whole thing. So, I kind of had a bad taste in my mouth about recovery after getting home alive. I used to lie to my mom, tell her I was in a great program that was good for me and she needed to send me money because I need a ride to the next treatment center. No, Mom, I wanted to get high, but that's okay, sorry, Mom. And I met all these people that are now dead in Florida, and my prayers go out to those people who didn't make it, the people who didn't make it back, because I did. I took my daughter's father with me the second time I went to Florida, which was also during this time, because apparently I didn't get enough of it the first time. Wasn't enough pain for Bri. She didn't go back and do it again. So I go back down again after 11 days of just the craziest rehab experience, and I end up spending the next 6 months down there. So we're gonna backtrack you some more. I'm going in reverse because I've been bored doing speeches. So before I ended up in this rehab shuffle in Florida, I was a CNA new mom that made that transition from opioid addiction to heroin addiction. I was in a toxic relationship with a partner that used. I was a product of a family where my father was an alcoholic that was very, very abusive when he drank. My mom was not an alcoholic or addict. She did not use, she did not drink. She had, master's degrees and came from a pretty decent family. And that problem lied in our childhood. It did. And that was something that I didn't realize affected me so much until I became 5 years clean. And that's where this is something I used to not talk about because I was ashamed of the fact that my family was so chitty-chatty and rumor mill, and we live in a small town of 4,000 people, and if you talk about your father in a speech that goes online, his whole family's probably gonna say something about it. But it doesn't matter. We have to live our truths, and that's something I've become better at and I've come to terms with. I had a little sister, her name was Whitney. She was 2.5 years younger than me, and we had identical lives. She was the only person that knows the experience that I shared. She is the only person that breathed the way I breathe. She's the only person who saw the world the way that I see it. And although we were very different people, we both found recovery the same year. And when we found recovery, we both had, I know I'm like jumping around, I do this, ADD, but there was a point in time where we had not had a good relationship because of our using. We both were using, but kind of kept it separate. Then we started using together. That became a thing where that was our only relationship. That was all we knew. It was the only thing we had in common. And we'd kind of hated each other for years, which is kind of funny to say because we were so close, but we didn't understand each other because we were so sick of our lives and sitting in the mess that was our life, that we almost resented each other even though that was all we had with our mom, And that's kind of the part that I miss about her, is that we didn't have that great a time growing up. So, 2016, we both end up going to jail. I wrote some bad checks. Do you want to do nothing else? So I figured that was the best way to get some money and get caught. And I end up in jail for 4 months with my sister. We have cells next to each other, and I thought she was gonna follow the same path I did, like she had through our addictions. Unfortunately, she did get clean for a year. She did really well, and then she kind of lost hope of her dreams. She got stuck, she couldn't find a job. She was 20 years old, dating a guy whose parents used. She didn't feel like she had a place in this world. And I feel like this is something that a lot of us have been through, where we feel like we don't belong. We feel different. We feel like we're being judged, we're being evaluated, like we're different and there's something about us we can't figure out. And that's what will bother us through this process if we don't learn to find out what we're so worried about or what's concerning us or what is the deep trauma that we're trying to deal with that keeps leading us back to these mistakes we made. Because addiction is just a symptom of the problem. So if you're using, that's one symptom of all those things that you are covering up, medicating, and hiding from and running from. You know, you can overeat, you can overshop. I've done that a hell of a lot, so, you know, it doesn't just go away. Codependency, dating other addicts even though you are clean. I've done that many times, and I put myself through the misery of trying to carry other people through their addiction because I wasn't ready to say, hey, maybe I'm not strong enough for this and maybe I should start working on people who want to be worked on. You know, I mean, that's the thing. We can only lead somebody to the water, but we can't make them drink, you know, and I've learned that over the years. But so my sister passed away in 2018. She was 20 going on 21. I wish I could describe her in a way that would tell you guys about her, but I already know that you're not going to really understand unless you knew her. But she was that quirky Aquarius-like person. She was funny, but at home she was very emotional, very sensitive, very self-shaming. There were times when she hated herself and could not deal with the things she had experienced. She had never left home. She couldn't deal with jail. She couldn't deal with being away from my mother, being out of any situation that made her uncomfortable. That was too much for her. And that was not me. I camouflage. I do good wherever I am because that's who I am, and it doesn't really matter. I'm going to make it. But I didn't always know that about myself. I just learned to survive, and while learning to survive in all these different situations, I made it a point to become somebody who would make it no matter what was going on, because that's why I'm here. But that was the issue with us being different, is I would speak out for the things I needed. I would ask for help when I needed it. I would go back to counseling if I needed more counseling. I would go to a meeting. I would meet with somebody who I needed to talk to, who I knew was somewhere I wanted to be. Not somebody who's where I'm at right now, because sometimes then you go out with them and you use with them. I would find people at long-term recovery and talk to them and be like, hey, I need help. And it's hard to admit because I'm a prideful person. But right now I'm struggling, like we all do. We're human beings. So when my sister passed away, she had overdosed in the back of a bank parking lot in the middle of Hamburg, New York, after being a year clean. She basically decided to go get high that week prior, continued to use, and then passed away at the end of the week. It kind of felt like the fabric of my life was ripped in half. That's the best way I can describe it. You kind of feel like you're in this black and white fuzzy thing, and you don't know what's going on, and you're kind of numb to it at first. And at her memorial, I had invited all of these rehabs to come speak on her behalf because, like me, she was on panels. She was helping young children overcome that were smoking pot and doing things that were getting them landed and kids escaping drugs. So was she doing the right things to try to save herself? Absolutely. She was trying to do the right thing to get the next right move to feel better about herself because she hated herself at times. That was all she had. But did it work? To some degree, yes. It gave her something she never had. I heard her speak once, and I had never heard her speak, and I thought, wow, we sound alike. Oh my God. And I never gave her that credit. It was like she kind of lived in this, I'm the younger sister, I have no identity, you know? And that's something I do feel guilt sometimes for, is that survivor's guilt. I lost my best friend 2 days prior to her. He ended up going septic. He had been clean for 3 years. He ended up using and passed away from septicemia 2 days prior to her death, so I had a horrible week. And that was along with losing 2 other best friends, you know, a lot of other people I knew that were now maybe not in recovery or had found recovery and relapsed. So I kind of felt like I was alone in this world for a while. You know, it's hard. I'm not gonna pretend it's not hard. I'm not gonna tell you it's like some walk in the park and everything's just gonna come so easy, and you know, if you just pray it'll be perfect, because just praying won't make it all right. You still have to do the work. You still have to want it. You still have to ask for the help when it's brought to you. But, at one point I was homeless. At one point, I didn't have this great upbringing that led me to do the thing that most people do when they have trauma in their life, which is use. If we don't do that, we do something else. And it kind of becomes a part of you that you have to recognize, you have to work with, and you have to move through. And it doesn't mean you ever let go of the fact that addiction ran your life. Because if you forget it, it will come back and it will bite you. Mm-hmm. But if you become somebody who lives in the world, you have friends that may or may not be addicts. You don't have to surround yourself with all recovering addicts. You're allowed to do both. You're allowed to have friends that live and work in society. And you're allowed to have friends that you help and you bring through these places where they can see where you were at, where you're at now, and why they need to get where you are. They say you're the 5 people you hang around with? So of course, if you hang around people who are doing the right thing, you are eventually going to bring yourself to do the right thing. But you have to take care of yourself. You have to find faith in something bigger than you. And this is so big because a lot of people feel lost in who they are and what they want, why they're here. They're so dug in on their purpose that they forget that their purpose is right in front of them. It's all here. Everything you do, everything in life is a miracle. And if you look at it that way, everything will change. Because either everything is a miracle or nothing is. And that's how life is. I can't remember who said that quote. I heard it on a podcast not too long ago, but it's true. If you think positively about your life and you continue to see the upside in things and you learn to say the things that hurt you and speak your truths when you don't want to, things will get easier. People are always going to judge you no matter what you do sometimes. You can't always win. And that's the thing. It's not about winning for other people. It's about winning for yourself. It is about feeling good about you, taking care of your family, loving your children, loving your partner, continuing to move forward in your life and doing something that is your purpose. Because if you are not living your purpose, you will be internally conflicted for the rest of your life. That is a piece that a lot of you, if you haven't found it yet, it is the piece that you need to find because it will change how you view the rest of your life and how you view other people. I'm trying to think if I have anything more to talk about now that I've confused you in the reverse chronological order. But I am thankful to be here today. Thank you guys for coming in here. Pain to Purpose has been such an amazing group that I was a part of online for quite a while. I ran some groups on it, and a lot of the people on it gave me a whole nother system of support that I did not have over the winter. I was depressed, sitting in my home, not knowing what to do because suddenly I became like mommy housewife and had never been mommy housewife and didn't know how to deal with it. And I'm a nurse and I work and I do all these things, but sometimes you just have to come back to where you started and talk to other people in your community or online that understand what you've been through. Because you don't forget where you came from. You don't forget what you've been through. And it might not be forever. You might switch from group to group. You might stay with the same one. But we're here to love one another and to accept one another for who we are. We're not here to judge what other people feel. We're not here to judge what other people go through. We're not here to judge my story against yours. In the end, we are here for the same cause. And that is for all the people we've lost that are gone, and for all the people that we will save from being lost. And there is a lot of them that will be okay because they hear these stories, because somebody told them something that they needed to hear to get their act together, even if it doesn't happen for another 10 years. And you can't force anybody to get better. All you can do is show them the path and show them what worked for you. And if they want it, they will go for it. And that has been the biggest thing I had to learn in this process. Because I was always trying to drag people through the mud to get them help. And a lot of times it worked, sometimes it didn't, but in the end, it's the fact that we have the love and the compassion and the patience to help other people, even if we feel it's not left in us. So just keep trying, you will get there. I think that's it. I can't think of anything else. I have a sober house in Jamestown that I run and a peer center. Cool, great. All right, that's about it, I think. All right. Bye, guys.